Let me pitch you a story. It's about a guy, a privileged, golden-aged white man who thinks he is still brimming with youthful vitality. But all is not picture-perfect in his world because his name is Walter.
Walter, I don't deserve you.
Nah, I wouldn't put it that way.
You are breaking up with me? Well, I'll tell you what, 200 Walters in film and television who are nerds and uncool guys.
A name is incredibly important. It is your foray into the world.
With a name like Walter, you are getting a little bit screwed by Hollywood. Not as bad as a Karen.
Look, this is a place of ups and downs, kind of like your name.
For 100 years, Walters have appeared on screen. The name Walter peaked in popularity the year they irrigated the California desert and named it Hollywood. So in the very first pictures, when audiences saw Walters, they saw heroes. Cary Grant, legendary alpha male. Elvis Presley, irresistible heartthrob. That's the stuff Walter was made of. And then Walter goes sideways.
Colonel Walter E. Kurtz.
I'm Walter Peck.
Oh, Walter, they're bringing you in.
Walter.
It's not normal, Walter.
Say my name.
Because of all this, Walter feels his name sucks, and Hollywood is to blame. This could all be left on the cutting room floor. But now his next act needs a name.
Walter,
Yeah.
there's 2 lines.
Guess what, Mom? We're having another baby.
Walter, this is really important to me. I'm 92 years old, as you know. I have 2 brothers named Walter.
Look at the time.
And your dad was named Walter, and his dad was named Walter. It would be 5 generations, and we would like to have it carried on.
We're not naming our kid Walter.
I just feel pressure.
I do not like the name Walter. In every single movie, every single TV show, Walter's a loser.
Walter was a good bowler and a good man. He died, as so many young names do, before their time.
This Walter can't act, but his entertainment lawyers forced him into character for clearance purposes.
Oh, man. Sorry, dude. Way to go, Donnie!
20 minutes late, man.
Oh, sorry, dude. Had to pick up the Pomeranian.
You brought a dog to a bowling alley.
Over the line, Donnie!
Bullshit, Walter.
I just loved my guy so much. He was such a prick.
Walter, what can I do you for?
Walter is a name that I've lived with. Why don't I like my name?
Pop culture did this to you. You see very few strong Walters on screen. And here Walter is a character, I think, curmudgeonly archivist, creepy morgue attendant, cuckold husband.
Walter Gunderson and his wife had an open marriage.
Teacher you had in high school who falls asleep standing up.
Walter, we have a problem.
Yeah, you guys get a bad rap. I think what you need to do is take back your name in Hollywood.
Everyone has a name and everyone has an opinion about names, even though they don't know they do.
Studio note. Keep in mind that as Walter sets off on the hero's journey, he'll turn 62 on the same day the currently untitled baby is due to premiere.
This is Los Angeles, and this is where writers and actors craft names that impact the rest of society.
Surfing clears Walter's mind, but he can't forget to find a name for his little Grom.
Walter, it's time to leave our steam energy grid. Please report to the bridge.
I keep naming characters Walter in everything I do. I've probably contributed 6 Walters, and there are more coming. When you meet that character, Walter, in Alien Covenant, there's something human about it. There's something flawed about it.
What is your name?
Walter.
Because we're so familiar with Fassbender as David, who is so cold and clinical and murderous and terrifying, to have a name that is a little more sloppy, slovenly, sneezy helps because it humanized him.
I don't want to be Walter. I want to be David. You can't be David. I'm David.
You're Walter. I'm David.
Characters are important. You always are inspired by the heroes, and sometimes even the villains. Just the characters that invoke emotion. Whoever created Doogie Howser probably didn't think in a million years that there would be kids that become doctors because he created that character.
I could still see a Walter being a hero.
Well, that's because you're the devil.
If Walter were here right now, he would tell you, and very proudly, that he won an Oscar for Man or Muppet. But they misspelled his name on the trophy. They actually wrote it Brett McKenzie, and they're making him keep it in New Zealand right now. But he definitely won an Oscar. I perform Harry Monster and Ernie of Bert and Ernie, Kermit's nephew Robin, Link Hogthrob, Statler, Lips, the Muppets' weasel attorney, and, oh yeah, Walter. If my character of Walter were part of this documentary, he would be thrilled that you all were doing a documentary about how cool the name Walter is.
If he's gonna do this for a while, maybe we could head out and grab some lunch or something.
Walter has that stereotype. That's a more nerdy name. You couldn't have a super Muppet nerd be named Dylan or Slade. This is a total ego piece for you, isn't it?
I would say no.
No, it's awesome. Good for you. You know, you got a camera and a microphone. You're going to break this thing wide open. Hey, world, this is what it means to be Walter. You stop dumping on me, man.
But what will this Muppet of a man call his son?
So as a screenwriter, if I'm naming a character, I know what that character needs to do, I know what their personality is, so I can pick a name that's perfect for them. When I have a kid, I have no idea what that kid's gonna be like.
What you doing?
Just eating chips.
For two.
So, Walter, what are you learning?
Well, the devil likes my name.
I'm not surprised. While you're there, you should go see a baby naming expert. They give us some ideas. Keep me posted.
Well, names absolutely create a set of expectations and desires. I help parents choose the perfect names for their babies. I believe that you grow into your name over the course of your life. You and your name merge, and that becomes your destiny.
Yeah, the baby room will be over here.
I've looked at 20,000 names.
Ideally, you'd name your kid at 12.
We don't take it lightly.
I am advocating for parents who are so stressed out about what name they should choose for their baby.
So I was a professional wrestler.
A lot of wrestlers name their child after their wrestling name.
I feel like we picked pretty awesome names with the first two, so I just feel like there's a lot of expectation.
I wish I could change my name, but I can't. I definitely want it to be unique.
We're trying to figure out. We're still working on it.
But not too unique that it causes problems. It's not an easy decision.
No.
We're running out of time too, so.
His mom loves Walter. His wife hates it. He's got to make a choice.
Is Walter dead?
For the time being, it is, certainly.
I was going to say 1920s. I thought Walter would be a heyday name.
I work in geriatrics at the hospital, so I've definitely seen a couple Walters.
I'm a linguistic anthropologist. Pop culture does have a big influence on name trends. For example, the Star Wars franchise, I think it's safe to say, is responsible for keeping Luke and Leia in the top 50 girl and boy names since the 1970s until today. If we want to look at kind of the opposite trend, I think Homer Simpson might be responsible for the name Homer not making even the top 1,000 names for the last 20 years. Walter stayed pretty popular up until about the 1950s, and then it started to decline.
We had, for this one period of time, one man who just embodied this sense of trust and honesty and integrity.
And then it went to shit.
You disgust me.
You're being a shit, Walt!
Your mom and I, we're going to separate. I've got an elegant new house across the park. We'll have a ping pong table.
I don't even play ping pong.
Coming soon, anti-Walter propaganda even targets children.
Walter is also a fantastic dog fan.
Walter? Yeah, he's no hero.
Walter thinks like a dog and acts like a dog. For everyone who's ever felt misjudged or misunderstood. I never thought of another name. The first Walter book has sold over 2 million copies. It's now in a dozen languages. He's non-threatening. He acts like a Walter.
You have a name like Walter, and if you use the whole name like Walter, it feels formal, it feels official, evil robot in Alien Covenant. But if you make it cute, if you make it Wally, then it's a cute, helpful, adorable robot who's like there to save the world. And there's something about the diminutive form of a name that makes it just so much more huggable. You want to hug little Wally, you don't want to hug Walter.
Oh my God.
Usually people like their name until other people give them a reason not to. The best example I can think of name perception changing over time now has taken on very negative associations.
My name's Karr.
How do you spell that?
Spelled Karen.
Karen has certainly had her ups and downs.
My name is Karen Panizzi. I'm not that Karen, or at least I hope I'm not.
I have tried online dating, and I actually just
spelled the name completely differently. I did C-A-R-I-N. And I got a lot more matches after I did that.
It was an idea we all sort of had, which was this white woman who was pushy and bossy and demanded everything be her certain way.
We know how Karen became a Karen because the first woman that did that was named Karen.
It's not all Karen's fault that some Karens were Karen.
Putting the name Karen on it is helpful because it anchors it to a certain age and a whiteness that's really useful for thinking about that thing.
It's gonna be a while till that name pops back up in the top 10.
Useful for a meme really sucks if your name happens to be Karen.
You can detach the name from the individual and make it a type, a social type, right? So that you can have a Karen and not a particular Karen, like a Pollyanna, right? Or maybe a Walter.
You know, I've never really met any Walters, but I was addicted to film as a child. It's from film.
There's a power in screenwriting.
I really got touched by like the characters who were nerdy.
Ah, right.
And taken advantage of. It always really bothered me from a young age. And I was always like, give Walter a chance.
I can't do this.
Names are hard enough without putting all those expectations on them.
What was Walter not able to offer Annie? Excitement. He was everything but exciting, and the whole audience knew there's something better. I think Walter ends up being a really convenient punching bag.
Walter in Sleepless in Seattle is a complete archetype of what a Walter could be. And a Walter is a perfect name for a Bill Pullman.
He's allergic to everything, don't worry about it.
I actually identified with Walter in Sleepless in Seattle as someone with allergies. Felt a little judged.
I don't know what we did for the name Walter, because yeah, you're gonna consign him to be the guy that loses the girl.
Yeah. I went to my dad's gravestone, which is in front of my grandfather's gravestone, and I'm thinking there's no more Walters that follow that lineage, so Walter is dead. That's okay if Walter isn't around anymore as a name, because I won't be either.
Walter, you depressed?
That's not my name of an action hero. If I had a different name, I'm pretty confident I'd be a different person. Should I go backpack around Asia? I'm not that guy. I'm not Chad.
Lost in a heart of darkness, Walter drifts into the jungle of his name's undoing.
What did they tell you?
They told me that you had gone totally insane.
Walter, like all slick Hollywood players, needs to consult a shrink.
I just Googled name and therapist, and it came up, the name therapist. Thank you for seeing me. I think this is gonna help a lot.
So you want to talk about your name?
Walter, I can't believe that you, with all your cleverness, should have such little sense of proportion.
I have been obsessed with names since I can remember. People have opinions about names, they have feelings about them, and everyone collects years of data on how people react when you introduce yourself. Names are constantly evolving over time.
Despite the sound advice, Walter still needs to come to terms with his disgraced name.
You're goddamn right.
I think I'm having an identity crisis.
Everybody has a constantly evolving relationship to their own name. If somebody on a TV show like Walter White does something particularly dramatic or dire, you can be seen with that brush.
There's no meeting where everyone said, we hate Walter, right? Let's really fuck that guy. We saw some nerdier Walters come up. Then we saw Walter White, which was, oh, let's think less of him because he's named Walter. Turns out he's an evil genius. Well, now what do I think of Walter?
Get to the essence of Walter White. He is the Walter who has solidified this trope. He's the apex predator.
Say my name.
Walter White is a character who has spent the first 50 years of his life afraid. He's kind of a nerd's nerd who becomes Scarface.
50-50. Cook, now we crack it, and then you sell.
I'm not gonna be your Jesse.
Choosing a name like Walter for a character like Walter White makes total sense to me.
Funny enough, when he was revealed as an evil genius, he took a whole different name. He became Heisenberg because Walter wasn't enough to inhabit that. That was a roller coaster for Walt.
I'm not gonna name my kid after a drug lord. There's too many Walters. What am I gonna name my kid?
Walter Bogus, Walter Peck, Walter Mars, Walter Paisley, Walter...
Over the line, Johnny!
Walter Ridley, Walter Breaking into the third act, Walter's brain finally goes out of sync.
Walter, you're up. Where are you going?
I don't want to talk to you, Willard. Looking at the screen and seeing my name disparaged so many times has had an impact on me.
the name Walter is a little bit on a downward spiral. But if I were writing this, I would say Walter is sitting here destitute, all is lost, but what he doesn't realize is what has been right in front of him the whole time is this potential. The promise of Hollywood has always been, no matter who you are or where you're from or even what your name is, if you have a good idea, then you can make your dreams come true. Look, I'm not gonna pretend that this is a place that doesn't beat you down or leave you for dead. But it's also the land of comebacks. The most famous of all, Walters of our generation. I mean, who played him? Bryan Cranston. Where was he before that? I think you can look to us screenwriters and say, maybe it's our fault, but also it's really in your hands to reinvent what Walter means to you and project it into the world, because that's all we do here. And out of that comes something really special. So maybe you can do that.
It's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
The name Walter is just an idea. Why not take that back with you? Gather the Walters, create a new definition or idea of Walter, rally the troops. You can be the new Walter 2.0.
Walter.
Now it's time to admit something, dear viewer. I, too, am a Walter. Yes, it's me, your narrator, Walter Borden.
I'm Walter. You're Walter.
To be a Walter or not to be.
Welcome to the Walters Conference. More Walters.
More Walters. About every 100 years, you see these names starting to come back into popularity. And right now, it is ready for revival.
Buried by Hollywood, but not forgotten, Walter rises again. Walter meets his very first new Walter, and they hit it off. Resilient to Hollywood's reign of name terror, a new season of Walters is being released.
Walter.
You're gonna carry the torch, you know? I guess it is all kind of cyclical after all, right? Oh. Don't hit your head on it, whatever you do. Here's your coffee.
I thought we should talk about some names.
Yes, well, we've got one, Walter. So here we are at the hospital. It's about that time.
The things I do to support your film career.
Are you a Muppet or a man?
What's the name gonna be? I don't know.
After 14 hours, double overtime, and 2 meal penalties, Walter and Siobhan welcome into the world.
So what are we gonna call them?